You boys want some fresh coffee?
It's been awful nice of you to been cooking dinner for us lately.
Well, it sure has been nice riding with you boys. I don't get much company out here in these parts.
I'll bet.
Oh, would you look at that sky? It's starry nights like this that remind me of Cowboy's Rest.
Well, what's Cowboy's Rest?
That's a good question, son. Some folks say it's a single place, the most beautiful and peaceful place in all the West. Well, me, I don't know about that. Gracious, guys, y'all hadn't heard of the legend of Cowboy's Rest?
Well, no, mister.
Well, get comfortable then, you're fixing to. You see, the story starts many, many years ago. Back before you greenhorns were born, that's for sure. This territory at that time wasn't settled very much. Not more than a mere spot on the map, you might say. Anyway, it's a story about a particular cowboy in a particular cow town. Some folks say right on the edge of civilization. I reckon at that time he wasn't much older than you boys now. Now this young cowboy had done pretty well for himself. In fact, he had had almost everything his heart could dream of, except contentment. See, deep down inside, he felt as empty as a silo full harvest time. And there wasn't much that could fill him up. Not gambling, not drinking, not women. Of course, that didn't stop him from trying. Unfortunately, one day while out on the town, he discovered that it wasn't just emptiness inside him. It was cold-blooded evil. Well, that's when his empty feeling changed. It turned into guilt and shame, but mostly fear. He had to run. From the law, yes, but mostly from himself. He could never forget the look in the eyes of that boy, an innocent life, and he had taken it away without so much as flinching. So run he did, out into the vast unknown, and he had no particular direction, just away. How many days had passed he couldn't tell. But still he ran, and fear kept on chasing him. It ate up his dreams, devoured his sleep, 'cause he knew he was guilty, and he knew he had to pay. Of course, one day disaster caught up with him, and so he found himself all alone in the middle of the wilderness with a busted up leg. Well, he couldn't run no more, so he crawled for miles he did. The sun beat down on him without mercy in daytime, and the cold winds chilled him to the bone at night, but still he crawled. And finally, against all odds, he found it. Water. Wasn't much, but it was enough. So he followed the stream, followed it for a long ways, and eventually, in the middle of what he thought was a God-forsaken desert, he found something he had never dreamed of. He found home. Some forgotten pioneer must have built this little cabin decades before. But this young wanderer wasn't thinking about how it got there. His only thought was what might be inside. Food, medicine, whiskey, his hopes were high. But he was sorely disappointed. Suddenly it all seemed like a cruel joke that fate was playing on him. So he decided that he would just lay there and wait to die. He waited and he waited. And eventually he got bored. And when he picked up that book, well, that's when things started to change. Now, he had heard lots of preachers hollering about the Bible back in his younger days. Never gave him much heed. But now as he read the book, in the stillness and quiet of that place, something was different. It was like someone was speaking right to him. He read about a holy God who is perfect and just. He read about a rebellious man who tries to be his own God, so he cuts himself off from fellowship with his Creator. And he read lots of words of wisdom, like man shall not live by bread alone. Of course, he also read that the Lord gives to his beloved even in their sleep. However, most important of all, he read about Jesus Christ, God himself come down to live among us. He read how Jesus said, "Come to me, all who are weary and burdened, and I'll give you rest." He read how this God-man led a perfect life of serving others, healing the sick and lame, and giving sight to the blind. See, in the story of Christ's death, the good book describes how Jesus prayed for the very men who were executing him, asking the Father to forgive them of that sin. How could someone show so much mercy? How could someone be so forgiving? Well, only if that someone is God himself. These men had taken the most innocent life that had ever lived. They had killed God the Son, and yet God the Father was still willing and able to forgive them. This made the young man wonder. Was there maybe still hope for him